At AT&T, we're all about the perks, like getting $300 credit per line when you switch to AT&T with a smartphone trade-in and purchase of any smartphone on AT&T Next. That's 3 perks in one. Get all the perks when you switch to the network with the nation's strongest 4G LTE signal. AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Limited time. Each $300 requires a port-in, eligible purchase, activation, and trade-in. $100 bill credit within 90 days. $200 trade-in credit or promo card. Taxes, fees, restrictions apply. Claim based only on national carriers' average 4G LTE signal strength. See store for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
And now, your host for Sports Talk, please welcome owner and founder, Ed Boston. All right, folks, welcome to the Ed Boston podcast, or on Saturdays, we call it Sports Talk with Ed Boston. Glad to have you with us here this evening. We got a lot of information to get to you tonight. So much that we've narrowed it down to just 2 categories, that being the NFL and professional wrestling. But in the opening segment here, professional wrestling is taking it's taking a backseat to real life issues, but it has to do with wrestling as well. The WWE has released a statement that says, let me read you this first from WrestlingNewsBlog.com. According to Wrestling Inc. this morning, hacktivist group Anonymous uncovered information today about other upcoming attacks planned by ISIS following their attacks last week in Paris, France, that left 130 people dead. The only U.S. target listed was this Sunday's WWE Survivor Series from Atlanta. WWE officials had this to say about the potential threat. WWE Survivor Series is currently scheduled as planned while we investigate the matter with federal, state, and local authorities. It should be noted that although there were threats found, the event isn't 100% confirmed. However, the local CBS affiliate in Atlanta reports that the FBI is taking the threat very seriously. They issued this statement to Action 2 News. The FBI is aware of reports of an alleged threat that includes an Atlanta, Georgia venue and event. While we take all threats seriously, we do not have specific or credible information of an attack at this time. We have, however, made the proper notifications as we continue to work closely with our law enforcement and private sector partners to keep our community safe. They are staying very close to the situation. There is also a possibility that the Survivor Series could be rescheduled, and our friends over at WrestlingNewsBlog.com will continue to update that story as more information becomes available. Father God in heaven, I come to you just now, thanking you for hearing our prayers. And Father, I know that everybody that is involved with the event, from Vince McMahon all the way down to the people that are sitting in the nosebleed seats, have to have concern, because we've seen just a little over a week ago that ISIS can do horrible things in an event. And Father, I just pray that in the name of Jesus and through your Holy Spirit, that you would rebuke the evil one and keep everyone safe that has anything to do with that event in Atlanta Help it to go off without a hitch. And Father, I pray that if the threat is credible and there is any danger at all, that you would help people to know that lives are more important than events. But I pray too, Father, that you help us not to cower and cancel things just because. Father, I'm going to lay it in your hands, and what better place could it be? Thank you for hearing my prayer. Again, I pray that you would keep everyone safe. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, if you listen to my show through the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you would know that I believe that ISIS is pure evil. I actually believe that Islam is pure evil. And it is, it's a very, very serious thing, and I'm glad they're taking it very serious. You see, because when ISIS says that they're going to do something, you don't know when they're going to do it, but they'll do it, or at least they're going to try to do it. And I am just thankful that everyone involved is taking things very, very seriously. We're going to open the main part of the show with the NFL, and each week I make my predictions for the upcoming week and give you the results from the previous week. So let's look at the scores from week 10. And I got ahead of myself a little bit here. I already had the standings up and clicked off the scores. I guess I thought maybe I could memorize all those scores. Yeah, right. So let me get back over to the scores for week 10. And I've got to tell you, I had my worst week of the year doing picks last week. In the Thursday game, Buffalo 22, the New York Jets 17, I got that one correct. Starting in the Sunday games, Detroit over Green Bay, 18-16. That's right, I said Detroit over Green Bay. Who in their right minds would pick that? Unless you were a Detroit fan or a Green Bay hater. I did not pick that right, of course. Carolina 27-10 over Tennessee. I got that right. Chicago on the road 37-13 over St. Louis. Did not get that correct. Miami on the road at Philadelphia 20-19 Dolphins. I did not get that correct. Pittsburgh 30, Cleveland 9. I did get that correct. Tampa Bay 10, Dallas 6. I got that correct as well. Now things go way far downhill. Washington 47-14 over New Orleans. Nope. Baltimore lost at home to Jacksonville 22-20. Nope. Minnesota 30, Oakland 14. I'd picked an upset there. I picked wrong. Denver upset at home by Kansas City 29-13. Nope. Finally get one right here. Nope, I did not. I picked an upset here too. New England 27, the New York Giants 26 at home. I did not get that correct. Arizona went into Seattle and beat the Seahawks 39-32. Nope. Houston 10, the previously undefeated Cincinnati Bengals 6. Who would have thunk it? If it was at Houston, you might have given it some credibility, but it was at Cincinnati on Monday night in front of a national audience. And that means that Ed, for the week, if you were keeping track, and I'm sure with that many games you probably didn't, I was a whopping 4 wins and 10 losses. By far the worst week of all 10 weeks this year. My winning percentage dropped from 64.4% down to 61%. Oh my goodness. All right, let's look at this week's games. Week 11. I got the Thursday night game right already, which is always a good thing when I'm on the show on Saturday. To have one win under my belt, Jacksonville 19-13 over Tennessee. And here are tomorrow's games. I'm choosing Indianapolis over Atlanta. I'm picking Chicago at home over Denver. Oakland over Detroit. I can't believe Detroit plays that well 2 games in a row, so I'm picking Oakland. In an upset, Tony Romo's back, and I'm going to take Dallas over Miami at Miami. Tampa Bay is at Philadelphia. I'll go Philadelphia. Washington at Carolina. I'll take Carolina. St. Louis at Baltimore. I'm going to go with the Ravens. The New York Jets at Houston. Houston's been playing a little better. The Jets are on the road. I'm taking Houston. Kansas City, who put it on Denver last week, over San Diego. Green Bay and Minnesota. At Minnesota. Boy, that's a toss-up, but I can't imagine Green Bay losing again. Even though Minnesota's playing well, I'm taking Green Bay. Let's see. San Francisco at Seattle. We have Seattle with the win. 49ers lost their quarterback, Kaepernick, to injury, so I'm taking Seattle. Cincinnati at Arizona, another what should be good game on the Sunday night game. I'm taking Arizona at home. And in Monday Night Football, Buffalo at New England. You know I hate to pick New England, but I don't think Rex Ryan and his crew can go into Foxborough and beat New England. So I've taken the Patriots. The standings are as follows. There we go. In the AFC, in the East, we've still got New England undefeated, 9-0. Buffalo and the Jets are both 5-4. Miami 4-5. So New England's stretching their lead, but as far as the others, they're bunched up pretty tight. Cincinnati 8-1. Pittsburgh 6-4. Then it falls off to Baltimore 2-7, Cleveland 2-8. Indianapolis Colts coming off a bye week last week, and with Andrew Luck hurt, that was a good thing. They're tied with Houston 4-5. Jacksonville is 4-6. Tennessee's pulling up the rear at 2-8. AFC West, Denver 7-2 after losing the last 2 games. Kansas City and Oakland are 4-5. San Diego 2-7. In the NFC, pretty much a log jam at the top of the AFC East. The New York Giants are 5-5, a half a game ahead of Washington and Philadelphia, who are both 4-5. Dallas coming in the bottom of the heap there, 2-7. Minnesota, 7-2. They've won 5 straight and playing very well. Green Bay, 6-3, lost 3 in a row. Chicago, 4-5. They're playing a little better, won their last 2, and Detroit, 2-7. The other undefeated team still left is Carolina, 9-0. Atlanta's in second place in that division, that being the NFC South, 6-3. Tampa Bay, 5-4. New Orleans, 4-6. And out west, it is Arizona, 7-2, leading the way, followed by St. Louis and Seattle, both at 4-5, and San Francisco coming in at 3-6. I want to look, because we're getting down to where it's the time of year where we need to start seeing the wild card standings and those kinds of things. Okay, well, that wasn't where it was. Well, let me do it just on my own here. Of course, the division winners would be the first 4 seeds, and in the AFC, that would be New England, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Denver. It would be Indianapolis over Houston because they have the tiebreaker in the division. Okay, and the 2 wild card spots right now would be Pittsburgh at 6-4, and goodness gracious. Okay, good. There's a tie between Buffalo and the Jets, so Buffalo has a better division record than the Jets, so they would actually be the number 6 seed if we ended play today. So it would be New England, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Denver, and Pittsburgh would be the 6. In the NFC, if we ended today, it would be the New York Giants, Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers, and the Arizona Cardinals. The 2 wild card teams would be Green Bay and Atlanta, both at 6-3. So that's how things would be if we were to end the season as we speak. Interesting, as I get ready to change subjects here in just a second. So my guest, I've got a guest going to help me with my next subject. So if she'll hit the 1, I will unmute her in just a second. On my notifications on my phone, there was something just there about ISIS. It wasn't to do with the wrestling event tomorrow, but boy, you don't go very many minutes without something coming across somewhere about ISIS. And I would say that the next segment, but at this point, it's the rest of the show is brought to you by our good friends from, let's see who is here with us.
Hey, this is Ed, and the professional wrestling segment of Sports Talk with Ed Boston is presented to you from our good friends over at WrestlingNewsBlog.com. I get all of my wrestling information from there. I suggest you do too. WrestlingNewsBlog.com. Go visit them.
All right. Well, we're not going to talk wrestling just quite yet, even though this person that we're going to talk about has been in a WWE arena and ring, not in the way that she will be at some point in time, but I'm going to bring my guest on here in just a second, but I'm going to actually depress her before I talk to her. And I'm sorry about that, but here we go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. She's in trouble. She's hurt. Holly looking to finish. Holly Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 59 seconds of round number 2, declaring the winner by knockout and new undisputed UFC bantamweight champion of the world, Holly, the Preacher's Daughter.
Oh, and I know that just raked the fingernails on the chalkboard for my guest. Welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Hello, Ed. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I hope you're doing well, even though I know I had to get on your nerves there to start the
You just shattered
segment.
my heart all over again. You just had to do it. No, it's funny because I knew the audio was coming. I was like, I know there has to be audio. So I was expecting it, so you're good.
All right. Well, you're here to talk a couple of angles on the fight. Of course, probably not many bigger Ronda Rousey fans in the entire world than you are, but we're also going to talk about where the sport stands after UFC 193. Tell us about Ronda.
Well, it's funny because if you were to ask me like a month ago, less than a month ago, if we would be having this conversation today, I would have told you no. Furthermore, if you would have had this interview with me last week when it happened, I probably would have been like way too emotional and I would have let my fan bias get in the way. But now that it's been a week removed, I'm a little decompressed. And I'm here to try to be unbiased and give you my opinions on the fight, what I saw, what I was thinking, all that good stuff, what's next for the bantamweight division as far as the women go, what's next for the new champion, what's next for Ronda, all that good stuff. I'm just going to start off with the fight in itself. From the very beginning, I don't know, I've watched Ronda fight every single fight that she's fought in the UFC. And I don't know, something about November 14, 2015 at UFC 193, Ronda Rousey, to me, did not look like the Ronda Rousey that I know. And I'm not saying that to discredit Holly Holm's win at all. So for the people who are listening that might be saying, oh, she's just trying to tarnish Holly's win, that's definitely not what I'm doing, and it's not what I want to do. But even at the weigh-ins, Ronda, she looked emotional. She just, I don't know, there was just something off. And it just didn't seem like it was going to go right. And, the first round, Holly definitely dominated the first round all the way. She was lighting up Ronda like nobody's business. I mean, Ronda, of course, she did hit her a few times, which I was happy to see that. And then, they were in the clinch. Ronda went for the takedown. She got the takedown at one point. She even had an armbar attempt at one point, and Holm got out of that. And then she tried to take her down again. Bottom line is Holly Holm's takedown defense was phenomenal in this fight. The round ended, and I think the commentators even made note, for the first time in Ronda Rousey's career, she has lost the first round. And even I knew that as a fan watching. I was like, oh, my gosh, this is not looking good. Furthermore, it was only the second time in Ronda Rousey's career that she's been taken out of the first round. So I don't know. It was just a lot of nerves going into this for me watching, and then as soon as that kick came and connected with Ronda's chin, and Ronda was out like a light, I was like, oh my goodness, it is over. The undefeated streak is over. Ronda Rousey is now 12-1, and now we have a new bantamweight champion in Holly Holm. It was definitely one of those moments of like, am I dreaming? Is this really happening? I'm not going to lie, I raged out a bit, but I'm okay now. And, that was my initial reaction, just pure shock and anger and emotions going into everything. But I'm much better now.
Well, don't you think that most people, whether they were Rousey fans or not, kind of thought that she was invincible, that there was just nobody that could stay with her?
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. Even the Ronda Rousey haters, I think believed that at one point too. I mean, I hear a lot of people saying that like Ronda believed in her own hype and that was her downfall. But I mean, we're looking at a woman who remained undefeated for essentially 3 years, 5 if you count her amateur career, and she obliterated everybody in the division. I mean, she just made short notice of everyone. 14 seconds, 16 seconds, 34 seconds, a minute. I believe her longest fight in the UFC totaled to, I believe 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes. Her total time in the cage was 25 minutes and something seconds. I don't know the accuracy of that. But my whole point is she did what she was good at what she did. And that's the one problem that I have with this whole thing. I get it. There's a lot of people who don't like Ronda because of her tactics at weigh-ins, not touching gloves, the smack talk that she talks about in WWE with Mayweather, whatever the case may be. People don't like Ronda, but the fact of the matter is she is marketing herself. She says things to get people talking, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Furthermore, there is no denying that if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey, there would be no women in the UFC. And that's what we have to really look at. And again, I'm not just saying it to be a biased fan, but those are the facts. Dana White said there was never going to be women in the UFC. But then he saw Ronda Rousey impressed him. Bam, women in the UFC. And now, not only that, but we have 2 divisions of women in the UFC. We have the bantamweight division at 135. We have the strawweight division at 115. And soon to be a flyweight division at 125. And guess what? That's all because of Ronda Rousey.
Well, she showed that, as in most every case in sports, that going undefeated for either a season, if it's a team sport, a career, if it's an individual sport, is almost impossible. But what happens now? Does she come back and fight, get a rematch? Is she going to take some time off? What's going to happen with Ronda now?
I feel like that's the question on everybody's mind, haters and fans alike. And I think most definitely she will take some time off. I mean, she even said it in pre-interviews leading up to this fight that even if she had won, that she was going to go away for a while and disappear and make people miss her. And you know what? That's rightfully deserved, whether you like her or not. She's defended her belt. I believe it's been a total of 8 times, and 3 times in the last year. That's more than any UFC champion in history. Not only that, but she's sought after by media. She's got tons of movies coming up. She's got Mile 22 with Mark Wahlberg. She's got the biopics for her, autobiography, the My Fight, Your Fight. She's got the Roadhouse remake. She's got the Arena Project. And, I mean, she's wanted by everyone, and that's, the beautiful thing. And I think, honestly, as much as it pains me to say this, I really do think that played a factor in her loss, just because, I mean, she's human, and that has to be a lot of stress to deal with and to stay in shape and to train. And, I mean, even her being the referee that officiated her fight, he fought a couple of times as well, so he knows about the fight game. And even he said that Ronda didn't look like Ronda in that fight. So there's a lot of questions. There's been reports that she's going to take at least 6 months off because that is a mandatory medical suspension for getting knocked out in the UFC. So I honestly don't know. Some people are saying that she might even take a year off. A lot of people are saying she needs to take time to decompress and get her life back on track. She's also dealing with a lot of personal issues. Her mom came out talking about her coach, Edmund Taverdi, and about how he's a bad coach and how she needs to leave his camp. And then there's also that whole Travis Brown situation. She's dating him, and he's been accused of domestic violence. So then the media, had a field day with that one and just tarnished Ronda for that. And so she's dealing with a lot as a fighter and as a person. So me personally, as a fan, I would love to see her take some time off. If it's a year, so be it. She deserves it. There's already talks of immediate rematches possibility, it would be UFC 200, and that would essentially mean if Holly Holm could hold on to the title, it would be in July during International Fight Week. It would be Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm 2. Like I said, that's granted if Holly can hold on to the title. Another question that is in everyone's mind is, what's next for Holly? Does she sit on the bench and wait for Ronda to come back, or does she get a new contender? A lot of people are saying that she should get a new contender. I actually agree, because I wouldn't want to see the women's division or the bantamweight division just sit there and do nothing. Other possibilities for Holly Holm that people have been throwing out are Juliana Pena, Miesha Tate, Amanda Nunes. I mean, it can go anywhere. And that's what has taken me a week to realize after all the initial anger and sadness. I realize now that the bantamweight division is wide open. There was talks about as soon as Ronda leaves that the division was going to fold, because what happens now when their biggest star is gone. But now that she's not holding on to the gold anymore, it essentially opens the door and says that anything can happen. And, I've got some favorite fighters in the bantamweight division too. So, I mean, who knows what can happen, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, you mentioned that all of the outside influences as far as media and those things. She also had said that she wanted to win win championships in a couple of other sports as well. One being, of course, the WWE Divas title, and right now I can't think of what was it. Boxing? Was that the other one that she mentioned?
Yeah, she said that she wouldn't mind winning a boxing title as well, yes.
And so it just sounds to me like she is, she's a phenomenal athlete. She doesn't have anything to prove about that. I mean,
no.
Win, lose, draw this last match. I mean, she's proven she's been to the Olympics, and she's done more than most people would do in an entire lifetime. But it sounds to me like she's spreading herself a little bit thin. And I mean, it's amazing to be at the top of the game in one of those things. I think it was judo, wasn't it, that she had competed and was the best in the world. So it's amazing to be the best in the world at one of those things. And here she is talking, either 3, 4, 5 different events.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Ronda. If you read her book, she is super confident, and some people, mistake that for being cocky or whatever. But, man, this is going to sound like the biased part of the podcast too, but Ronda Rousey deserves to be cocky. From the moment that she was born, she has been a fighter. For some of you who may not know, when Ronda Rousey was born, she was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, and she was deprived of oxygen. And I believe for 4 or 5 years, she couldn't even really form a coherent word. She couldn't. She had to go to speech therapy and things like that. People thought she was going to amount up to nothing, and it's not only that, but she lost her father to suicide at 8 years old, and it's she's been homeless. She's lived in her car. She's lost before. She talks about in her book how when she lost the first time at the Olympics, how it was the worst feeling in the world, and how she feels that she can learn from a loss. And it's weird now, because now those words echo more than ever. She just lost her title, her pride and joy. And I mean, if you guys listen to the audio after she got knocked out, she was crying in agony, and she was saying, "No, I'm okay. I want to get back in there. I'm good. I'm okay." She had no idea what was going on. But my whole point in all this is, Ronda Rousey's a fighter. She's confident. She's cocky, but she deserves to be. I mean, not many women or men have done what she did for the sport. No. And she legitimized women's MMA. I'm not saying that the people that came before her, didn't do much, like Megumi Fuji, Roxanne Modafferi, Shayna Baszler, Tara LaRosa, all those people, they legitimately, they were there before the fame, before the Ronda Rousey, but because of Ronda Rousey, people watch MMA. People watch women's MMA. She brought a mainstream, a new set of eyes. Like, I know for a fact, I don't really watch MMA, neither does Trevor, but when Ronda's on, guess what? You guys watch. And I feel like that's like to be said for a lot of people. And with her, you know, I think the sky is the limit for her. Whether she does decide to retire and go to WWE or go to movies or whatever, I really do think that she's going to succeed in whatever is next for her. But she said it herself that she will be back. So I have to believe that she's not going to lie to us and that she will return to the octagon.
How do you think this affects her possible angle with Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania?
Man, you know, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think for sure they're going to bring it up. They're going to bring up how she got knocked out and how she's not undefeated anymore, obviously, to get, you know, quick heat. Some of the crowd might cheer, some of the crowd might boo, depending on the dynamics of it. I really do think that's going to, like, add fuel to the fire, you know, and it's going to make for an interesting matchup just because Stephanie has always been one of those people to take digs at people and kick them when they're down, so that would make perfect sense. And it would be interesting to see Ronda as a face in WWE, considering, you know, her whole MMA career she's been the bad guy, the heel, so it'll be interesting to see roles reversed. I mean, we saw last year when she showed up at WrestleMania, people went bananas, including myself. I didn't even know what was happening at first. I was like, is this real? So, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see, you know, what comes next for Ronda Rousey.
Well, you mentioned the division that she's in. How is UFC in general as an organization? Are they on good, solid footing? Are they doing well?
I say that they are on solid footing just because the UFC 193 pretty much nearly set an attendance record. People tuned into this fight, and I mean, a week later, here we are. We're still talking about it, whether it's Ronda Rousey losing or Holly Holm winning. And I think the UFC is a good place. You know, some people like to complain about the whole Reebok deal and how it is screwing you know, fighters that aren't, like, top of the game, well-known names, just screwing them over. And I will agree on that aspect of things, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and I'm not a business person, and I'm not Dana, and I don't know what I'm doing. But, you know, for the most part, the UFC is in good standings. And like I said, it's crazy because a lot of people thought we would never be having this conversation. Everybody thought, you know, that the women's division was going to fold and there was going to be nothing interesting. But now it's just endless possibilities, and it's really, really exciting. And that's the thing, like I said, I've come to realize now, like, I'm not upset about it anymore. I'm actually excited to see what happens next. Two things I want to say before we change topics. A lot of people are trying to, like I said before, discredit Holly Holm, and I don't want that to happen because she did the unthinkable. She did something that 12 other women, 15 if you count amateurs, couldn't do at all. She defeated someone that virtually looked, you know, unbeatable, and she did it with ease. And I got to respect Holly for that. You know, she's a 10 times boxing champion, and, you know, she went in there and she did the takedown defense. Ronda threw all her best tools at her, essentially, and she couldn't get Holly got the job done. And I don't know, I just want to say, like, as a Rousey fan, Team Rousey, always, I respect Holly Holm. I respect her because of the fact that after the, fight was over, she hugged Ronda, and she even went on Larry King and told Larry that she told Ronda, like, thank you for all you've done. You're a great champion. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. And I just wish that, like, people would realize what Holly's realizing, because I feel that a lot of people are just being mean to Ronda just because it's the cool thing to do right now and because they're anti-fans. But, like I said, Holly said it herself. And, Holly, I think she's going to carry the division well. And I don't mean to sound funny, but who knows? Maybe she's just keeping the belt warm. I don't know. You never know.
That was a good one.
I had to say it. I'm sorry.
That's the Vanessa. That's the Vanessa I know.
Yep, that's me. You know exactly. I can be nice. I can see two sides, but you know full well that I have been a Ronda fan from the get-go, and I really do want her to get the title back. But again, no discrediting Holly Holm. And for the fans out there that might be listening, because I shared this link with a bunch of my fight friends, and a lot of them are anti-Ronda fans. A lot of them are saying that the only reason why she was, undefeated for so long was because she was fighting cans. I just want to say that statement is the most ridiculous statement that you could ever throw out there, because if you're saying that, you're essentially saying that Holly Holm will be fighting cans as well, because, hello, they're in the same division. So, I mean, like I said, it's been a week removed, and we're still getting tons of hate on both parties for Holly Holm and for Ronda Rousey. But I just, want it to stop, and I want people to realize, yes, without Ronda, women's MMA would not be where it is today. Yes, Holly Holm beat her, and yes, Holly Holm deserves all the credit in the world. And they're both amazing fighters. And if a rematch happens, it's going to be insane.
Every female fighter in MMA needs to thank Ronda, whether they want to or not, because all of their paychecks are bigger right now because of Ronda Rousey.
Exactly. Yep, 100%.
So, Holly Holm is perfect example that her payday wouldn't have been nearly what it was had somebody else been the champion and she took the belt. So, and you're right about it still being big. Donald Trump tweeted about it. Lady Gaga tweeted about it. I mean, it was big. It was a big news story.
Yep. It was something that we never thought we would see, that's for sure. And I think that's what made it so great, because that's the thing that people have to remember about MMA. And, I'll be honest here. The first 2 days, I was an emotional mess because I felt like I lost that fight. I've met Ronda on a personal level. She is the sweetest person ever. I know people are probably listening to this podcast and they're probably thinking, bull crap. But no, you guys, Ronda was nice to me when there was no cameras rolling. Ronda cared about me, took time to talk to me, hugged me 2 times, and signed all of my stuff with no cameras in her face. Point being, Ronda Rousey is a genuine human being, regardless of what her antics may be. And I think that's, the thing that people were thinking, they talked about it because they thought it was so impossible, and so many people were like, well, she finally got what she deserved. And maybe she did deserve some of it. I don't know. I mean, say what you want. But like I said, she will be back. And like I said, whether it's a rematch or against someone else, I don't really care what happens. It's not saying that I don't care, because I do. But whoever she fights, what I'm trying to say is I'm going to be in her corner. And I honestly look forward to, Holly Holm, whatever's next for her too. People are even talking about Cyborg coming in and fighting Holly Holm. I mean, the huge fight that everyone kept talking about was Cyborg versus Ronda Rousey, but now that Ronda's not the champion, everyone's saying Cyborg versus Holly Holm. They're both incredible strikers, so we'll see where that goes, if that ever happens. Like I said, the possibilities are endless right now, and it's an exciting time to be a fan of MMA and women's MMA, and I think that if people aren't fans now, they should jump on the wagon right now, because I think some crazy things are about to happen.
Well, as we segue into the next one, this fits in with, women's professional wrestling, the divas in the WWE. I mean, you look at the storyline of the Divas Revolution, and all of that's wrapped around the success of Ronda Rousey.
Yep, and it's funny that you say that, because Stephanie McMahon even admitted it. She said that Ronda Rousey is the reason why they've always believed in women, especially Stephanie and Hunter, but Ronda Rousey was essentially the green light that made them realize, hey, if she could carry main events and if she could be a top star, why don't we push our women to do that? And yeah, Ronda's opened the door for so many people, not just in MMA, but in general, sports in general, and life in general. I talk to lots of people. I have a friend who's wheelchair-bound like myself who started training in boxing because of Ronda Rousey. I mean, her influence is incredible, and, I mean, that's what I want people to get. You don't have to like her. I get it now. I understand that some people are going to be, you know, they're going to be fans. It's part of the sport. But like I said, you should give the person credit where credit is due. Again, that goes on both fronts of the fighters, for Holly Holm and for Ronda Rousey. And, I mean, like I said, what Ronda's done is incredible, and because of her, we're seeing women at the forefront. And it's a beautiful thing, because I never thought I would see that day, you know, where we had Bayley and Sasha Banks main eventing an NXT special. I never thought that would happen. We had Paige and Charlotte close out a Raw in a contract signing, no less. I never thought that would happen either, but it's happening.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you stay around for just a few minutes while we play a clip and then talk about that controversial contract signing?
I sure can.
All right. Well, we're going to move straight into professional wrestling, and first on the list is this audio clip.
You know, I didn't get into this business to make friends. But when I started at NXT, forget the fact that we come from the same background. I can't even believe I'm about to say this. I wanted to be like you. I was the naive, sweet Carolina girl. You were the British badass. You know, we didn't grow up like most little girls. We sat at home watching our parents on the television night after night, sacrificing their bodies. They cared about the WWE almost as much as they cared about us. That's why my late brother when my little brother passed away, you were there for me. I am here today because of him, and that's the only reason to fulfill his dream. Wow, Charlotte, you know what? That was quite a speech. I had a tear in my eye. Oh, no, wait. That's confidence. You are so naive, Charlotte. It makes me sick, and it is embarrassing.
Oh, wait just a moment. Charlotte, the contract.
You know what? I am so sick of this. You think that everyone has your back, and that's a bunch of bull. No one has your back, and no one will have your back this Sunday, not even Daddy, Mr. Four Horsemen himself. You know what? Where are you, Rick? Where are you? Why don't you come on out here and drop one of those famous elbow drops on your jacket? Because you know what? It is so impressive, you old fart. You shut your mouth, or there won't be a Survivor Series. You won't even make it out of this building.
Charlotte Paige has signed the contract.
I will continue to fight each and every day. Just like everyone in my entire family has. Just like my dad did. Just like my little brother did. And just like I do. You know what, Charlotte? You're wrong, sweetheart. Because your little baby brother, he didn't have much fight in him, did he?
Oh, come on. That was uncalled for. There's no reason for Paige to go there. Look, I agree with you, Byron.
And there was one point in there where I wanted to snap my fingers 3 times and say, oh, no, she didn't go there.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I heard it live. It was, well, actually I heard it the next day. I DVR'd it, so it was live to me. It wasn't actually live when it happened, but I was almost, very few things in the world of professional wrestling, or in this case sports entertainment, shock me, but I certainly didn't see that one coming. How about you?
No, I definitely didn't see that one coming either. And it's funny because I watched it late as well. I watched it with our good buddy Trevor on this stream thing that we do. But when I was watching it, I was like, wait, I remember he messaged me and said we have to watch the Diva segment. I was like, okay, cool, that's worth my time. And we were watching it, and I'm like, wait, they're closing out the show with the contract signing for women. Is this really a thing? Is this happening? And as it was going on, and then as soon as Paige said that, I was like, no way, that's not okay. At first I was upset about it, but I don't know, watching it back multiple times, I've watched it actually, you can see that they were both in on it, and man, oh man, they both pulled on the heartstrings, and they hit us all in the feels. Paige is a phenomenal heel. I am so glad that she is heel right now. She is so good at it, and Charlotte knew how to hit us in the feels and make things personal. They both did a phenomenal job. I love the segment. I know it's caused a lot of controversy, but I loved it.
Well, you could hear, this is the first time I've listened to just the audio, you could hear in their voices before they even got there, especially in Charlotte's voice, she was choking up well before she talked about her brother.
Yep.
I mean, you could tell that she knew that she was about to go someplace that was going to be hard.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the same thing can be said for Paige as well. You could, in her voice, you could see it. On her face, you could see it. Even right before she said it, I think Charlotte almost gazed at her and was kind of gave her the green light, all right, don't worry, you got this. I think Paige was even are you sure you want me to go there? I mean, anybody who follows 2 women outside of WWE, people that are avid fans like you and I and Trevor, we know that those 2 girls are legitimate friends. Paige was there for Charlotte when Reed passed away. She was the one to help build Charlotte back up. So it had to be emotional for the both of them. And even in the part where Paige was like, oh, I almost got emotional, there's a little tear there, you could tell that she legitimately was about to cry, but she had to play it off as a heel and be like, oh, I'm not crying, it's no big deal.
Yeah, it was at that point, and I was going to bring that up, and glad you did as well, that you could tell in Paige's voice a difference, and then it was almost exactly what you said, Charlotte somehow gave her that, whether it was a nod or whatever, it was it's okay, go there, and boom, then her tone of voice, her attitude, everything went back to heel mode.
Yeah.
But just before that, and you can play this audio back if you're listening and listen to it again, you could tell in her voice that there was hesitation. But boy, once she went for it, she went for it.
She was she went straight for the heart, and that's what made it such a great moment, because both of them were in on it. And us watching at home and people watching in the arena were probably holy crap, did that actually just happen? Did they just say that? I mean, even after the words were said and they did the brawl and they got separated and Paige was on the apron and Charlotte was in the ring, you could tell on the look of their face. Charlotte had a look of crap, girl, like, we just pulled this off, we just did it. And even, like, Paige, you could tell she was still emotional. Guys, watch it back, I promise you. You could see, like, Paige take a deep breath and almost gulp, like she was trying not to cry. It was just a real palpable moment. You felt it at home. You felt it in that arena. They pulled it off flawlessly. I love them for it. It's great.
Well, it almost felt like that when they got done, they probably went back into the locker room and collapsed into an easy chair or something. It's like,
yeah.
Glad that is over, you know. And they didn't even fight other than the
chair too, like hugging each other. I bet you they were there for each other after, like, man, we need to decompose. That just happened. That was real, you know.
Well, let's look at this from the angle of Ric Flair and his former wife, Reed's mother. The first reports out were from Reed's mother, and apparently she was furious. Then the Nature Boy came out in his podcast, and he tried to be politically correct and say the right things, but you could tell that he wasn't pleased about it. We find out in hindsight that Charlotte chose not to tell them in advance. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a smart move on Charlotte's part, and me and Trevor were actually talking about this the other day, that Charlotte comes from old school background. She knows, you know, what it's like to get heat. I think on Busted Open Radio, an audio clip that Trevor showed me, even Tommy Dreamer talked about how no one knew that his grandfather had died, and only Sandman knew, and he told Sandman to use that as an angle. You know, that's happened before. We've had CM Punk use Paul Bear's death as an angle. That's happened before. You know, we've seen the casket of Big Show's dad being dragged before. I mean, things like this, it's not a new thing. It's been going on for a really, really long time. And I get it. Some people may not agree with it because it's cheap heat, but it works. And I don't know. That's the crazy thing about this. When is the last time that a angle involving women has sparked so much controversy? That's the big picture here. Everyone's talking about it, and it's a women's angle, and that's all that people are talking about in the WWE right now, and it's freaking great.
Well, I have a little bit of different take. Not way different. I didn't have a problem with the angle at all, other than the initial shock of, did you really just go there? But as far as being upset about it, I definitely wasn't. I just think, I guess because I'm a parent, I think it would have been nice if somebody would have given Rick and Reed's mother a heads up that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from on that one. Definitely.
But by not doing that, then we got news. I mean, the mother goes nuts, you know, and well, she didn't have anything nice to say about Stephanie McMahon, that's for sure.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you know, and then Rick and his reaction. So we wouldn't have had those reactions, at least in the sense that it was a total shock. And from personal experience, and I don't know if you heard this story or not, Doink the Clown, or one of the many Doink the Clowns that are out on the circuit, was at our local wrestling matches, not last month, but the month before. And I've been doing ring announcer stuff for him for 6-8 months now. And Doink squirts me with his squirt gun, and I'm thinking, well, okay, you little jerk. And I knew nothing about any of this beforehand.
Yeah, no one gave you the heads up, like, geez.
And he like motions me to come towards him, so I come towards him. He kissed me on the friggin' lips.
Oh, no, I did not know about this. That's insane. That's funny.
And I had clown paint on my face. And and my wife wasn't very happy about the whole thing. And but somebody said, well, if you'd have known in advance, you wouldn't look as shocked. And I said, well, I'm sure I would.
Exactly.
I'm sure, because if I'd have known in advance, I'd have got my hands up, and he would at least kiss my hands and not on the lips. And so point being is that when you don't know something, your reaction is different than if you have a heads up. And so I understand the no heads up with Rick and his ex-wife. It just, that part, because of what the topic was.
Yeah,
I mean, if it would have been something to do with drugs or something to do with trouble with the law, I mean, that's not going to cause you the kind of grief that it would to when you've lost a child. So that was my only beef. I think it's great that they got the heat that they got with it. I think it's going to bring out a side of Charlotte that is even, she's obviously a pretty lady. She's athletic, stepping in her father's footsteps. But, when they were going at it, and you could actually even hear how hard they were going at it.
They were hitting each other, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a sissy fight, for lack of a better term. I mean, it was a legit, what you would expect from professional wrestling. And you didn't even need to add the women's professional wrestling there. I mean, it was a legit, bringing out a side of Charlotte that, and you're right about Paige. I don't usually say great things about heels, but she is a phenomenal heel. I mean, she just does it like, and see, she can do it in so many different ways. I mean, she did it here with a line that brought her heat, but I mean, she can do it with the microphone. She can do it in the ring. When she got Becky Lynch in the PTO on the announce table, there's so many ways that she is so good at being a heel, and
it's funny because she's always been looked at as the anti-diva, like that was her gimmick when she was in NXT on the early days, and later, before that it was known as FCW. She was known as the anti-diva. The way she wrestled was like so ruthless, and then she comes to the main roster. She came in as a face, and then she was a heel with AJ, but then that kind of heel was kind of stupid because it was like mimicking AJ, and it was like that whiny, bitchy type character that everyone hates. Everybody, there's like, it feels like all the divas are that character, the whiny, bitchy character, if you're a heel. But what Paige did this past Monday was just like, that is some real heel action right there. That is some heel heat. And because of this whole segment, people are going to tune into this match. People are legitimately going to care about it. They're not going to use it as a bathroom break. They're going to want to know what happens. It has a story to it now.
They're going to want to see if Charlotte just beats the hell out of her. I mean, that's what
exactly.
I mean, let's just be real. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. And
everyone's going to want to see it.
And, well, I mentioned a minute ago about my ring announcing, and I've gotten the privilege of introducing a couple of Hall of Famers the last couple of months, and I actually love this clip so much. And since you're here with me, I thought I would play it here. Where did it go? Maybe I didn't bring it up, so I'll have to look back down here. There we go. Listen to this clip. I think you'll like it.
And his tag team partner, he hails from Atlanta, GA. He's an NWA Hall of Famer. He's an NWA Heavyweight Champion. Give it up for the Wildfire,
Now, see, that to me is professional wrestling, because everybody in the place was having fun. And
that's what wrestling is all about. It really is.
The heels had come out first, and they'd already made their scene, and, out comes the baby faces, and the crowd went nuts. And, poor Tommy Rich, he can barely even walk anymore. He looks 90 years old, but still gets in the ring. It makes me sad, really, because, he has to come to these events because he needs the money. Because his body sure doesn't appreciate him going to these events. I was going to talk TNA next, but if you got a few more minutes, we'll switch TNA and Survivor Series. And
yes, I'm so game.
Okay, good.
Doing this, it feels like I'm back in the saddle.
Yeah,
I haven't done it in so long.
You know what? I swear, every time Ryback gets into the ring, I think of you.
Ryback. Oh, good times. Good times.
And I'm so glad they got him away from all of that stuff that we made fun of back in the day and everything, and made him, a legitimate.
Ryback the Jobber. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's not the champion anymore, but he lost to Kevin Owens, so that's saying something. It wasn't like a complete total squash match. And yeah, no, it really is good to see him doing things, kind of miss making fun of him, but it is what it is.
Well, Survivor Series, I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, I know they had to just basically rewrite the whole thing with Seth going out with his injury, but I was so looking forward to a traditional Survivor Series match with the Wyatt family and The Undertaker and Kane and whoever they chose as their other partners. What do you think about that match?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. That's what Survivor Series is all about. It's always 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, and we're not getting that match. I mean, I think even you said this morning, have they not named the match? And even John was have they not named the match? I was like, you know what? They haven't. This is weird. And like you said, it probably was because they wanted to rewrite the whole thing. Seth is probably going to be involved in it somehow. And now, obviously, he's injured. But it kind of just sucks because it's without that, that matchup, that traditional Survivor Series match, it feels like it's not Survivor Series. It's it's just a regular pay-per-view card. Okay. But, I don't know. I feel weird about it, too. Being a long-time wrestling fan, long-time WWE fan, it just feels like there's going to be a void at this Sunday's pay-per-view, to be honest.
Well, I mean, they're saying that they're, to be announced against to be announced, and that's hardly making somebody want to spend their $9.99 to
right.
And I heard what would have been the most awesome 4-on-4. You may have talked to John about this one too. The 4 from the Wyatt family versus the Undertaker, Kane, Sting, who's probably not healthy enough yet to participate, and then Finn Balor is the 4th on that team.
Oh, man, that would have been amazing. I just got chills right now, no lie, because it makes perfect sense. They're all these combustible, almost dark elements, that creepy vibe, and they all come from that. I don't know. That would have been amazing, and I think people would have went insane, especially if Finn was allowed to come out with his face paint and everything and his body paint. It would. Oh man, that would have been incredible. I would have marked out for sure, most definitely.
Well, that was John's idea, so if you talk to him, give him credit for that. He's the one that thought that would be.
That.
And
awesome.
And my comment back to him when he told me about it was, it'd take a half an hour for the entrance.
Yeah,
because think about all, even if Kane and The Undertaker came out together, which is definitely not as good an entrance as you have to have in a pay-per-view for The Undertaker. But then you add Finn Balor's in, and
the Wyatts.
Yeah, and the slow, the Wyatts they're the slowest walkers in the history of wrestling, except the Undertaker.
Yep.
I mean, and they're right up there taking the Undertaker's place on that. But for those that haven't seen Finn Balor's entrance, I mean, it's well known that the Undertaker helped coach him on his entrance.
Yep, that is a well-known fact, and I think that's what makes it so incredible too. And I mean, like they're almost one and the same, and that's what I was saying. Like a match like that would make perfect sense, and it's honestly, I think any wrestling fan would want to see it. Anybody who says they wouldn't want it is lying.
Well, let's talk about what we do have to work with, and of course we've got Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose on one side of the bracket, and Roman Reigns, and I can see his face.
Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, Alberto Del Rio.
So weird. I still don't know how I feel about that, but you know.
Yeah, that's I kind of just push that off to the side. I don't even want to think about it, really. It's weird.
Yep, I agree.
So, who do you see coming through? You know, we all made our predictions that'll be out, later tonight on Wrestling News Blog?
Yeah, for sure. Tonight I'll have it up.
Who do you got going to the finals?
I definitely say it would have to be Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, you know, Shield brother versus Shield brother. And I don't know, it just makes sense to me just because, you know, old Seth Rollins is the one that essentially made the Shield crumble and Seth Rollins lost his title. I don't know, just historically it makes sense. I don't see why Alberto Del Rio would be in the final at all. Like, I don't see it. If it happens, I'm going to, riot probably because I don't even really care that he's back, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And as much as I love Kevin Owens, you know, he's still the Intercontinental Champion. And although it would be awesome for him to hold both titles at once, I really don't see them pushing him there yet. And I think it's been pretty clear that the WWE has been pushing Reigns for a really long time. They've been trying for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, and nothing's working. And I think, you know, with Seth's unfortunate injury, I think, you know, that's probably where they're going to go. But, again, I wouldn't mind Ambrose being champion either. It would be like that heel champ, like, not necessarily a heel, but, I mean, he's like anarchy against the authorities. So that would make for something interesting. And I think Reigns will do the same thing. So I think either way, that's what we're going to see, and it's going to be a good matchup just because those two obviously know each other and they have chemistry. So, and that's the best kind of matches you can get is when people have chemistry.
Well, I've been predicting a heel turn by either Ambrose or Reigns for several months now. So eventually I'm going to be right if I continue to predict that.
Of course. It has to happen.
It just seems to be the perfect time to, and I heard somebody talking that they thought that they would bring Seth back as a baby face, kind of like they did Hunter when he was hurt one time as a heel and then came back as a baby face, which would make whoever wins, which I think it'll be Reigns, they're obviously trying their hardest to get him over. So I think it makes sense for Reigns to turn heel, you know, and we get
people are already booing him anyway, you know. So
yeah, and we get Hunter with the we always have Plan B, you know. And so I like Reigns, and I really don't want to see him heel. I think the crowd after the Daniel Bryan debacle finally
can't forget it.
Yeah, finally warmed back up to Reigns, and so I like him as a baby face, but I think it's time for them to change him heel.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Just because, like I said, as sad as it is, I don't get all the hate that he receives. I still can't wrap my head around it. I guess in a way I do, because WWE fans don't like to have people shove down their throats or whatever, and that's fine. But he has improved tremendously. He keeps adding to his repertoire of moves, and it's like, that can't be said for a lot of other wrestlers, but he is getting booed already. People already don't like him, so to make him a heel. Heels are supposed to be booed, and, I mean, if they make Ambrose heel, that would work too, because he already has that, whole lunatic fringe thing going for him, and it makes sense. I mean, just his looks makes him look like a heel, but fans love him. So even if they turned him heel, people are going to still cheer for him, and we're still going to hear, the We Want Ambrose chants and things like that. So I agree with you. I think the smartest thing for them to do is to turn Reigns heel, and like you said, a returning babyface Rollins wouldn't hurt either. And, people have talked about this match for a long time, and I don't think that Rollins is going to be ready by WrestleMania, but maybe if he is, people have been talking about Reigns versus Rollins versus Ambrose in a triple threat for the title for the longest, and I think that would be amazing. I would love to still, we can go anywhere from here. It's all possible.
Well, we're on the same page on this. We both think that Reigns is going to come out the winner. Won't be totally surprised if it's Ambrose, but I would be surprised. And about if you turn Ambrose heel, you're exactly, it'd be like turning CM Punk heel.
It's not going to work.
He's going to have to say and do things that, how CM Punk had to,
things that rub people
saying things. Yeah, like his segments with Lawler and things like that, and I don't like him to have to. They can get heat if they turn the right people heel. That's the whole key. And so let's look. Speaking of heels, we've got in probably the opening match of the night, Tyler Breeze. He comes out and gets a lot of heat. Going against Dolph Ziggler.
And it's funny because Dolph Ziggler is one of the top baby faces. For my prediction of this one, I'm going to go with Tyler Breeze. I want Tyler Breeze to win. Hopefully WWE's on the same page with me, just because he just got called up to the main roster. And, Dolph Ziggler, he's had his time to shine. Arguably, some people might say, well, not really, because he's never really, had a fair chance at a major title. But I think Dolph Ziggler is a company guy, and I think he knows that it would be smart to put Tyler Breeze over. Furthermore, Tyler Breeze spent, years in NXT. He was in the first NXT special, and it's taken him a longer time to get on the main roster than Owens, than Becky, than, Sasha, than Charlotte, than the Ascension, than the Lucha Dragons. He's been there a really long time, and now he's finally going to be on the main roster. And I love Tyler's gimmick. I think it's funny. Some people don't like it. My friend always jokes about how he's a mixture of Dolph Ziggler and Fandango. If they had a baby, that's what Tyler Breeze would be. But
Dolph Dango, huh?
Yeah, Dolph Dango. That is Tyler Breeze in a nutshell, and I like him, and I'm going with him all the way for this one. I think Summer's going to have something to do with the loss. Kind of makes sense since Summer and Dolph were a thing for a while. So, yeah, definitely going with Tyler Breeze on this one. I'm a Dolph fan, but I'm a bigger Tyler fan at this point.
Boy, we are just right on the nose with everything. I love Dolph. He is a company man, and I think they put him in this feud because he would be willing to put over Tyler Breeze. It's important, too, what you said about Tyler getting the win. I think of how they, just mishandled so many of those move-ups. And the biggest one that stands out to me is the Ascension. And so I think that they have to win with Breeze again. And I just got a notice from Periscope that Booker T. Huffman is live.
Oh, nice.
And we've got to move on because I have a special interview that's coming up at the end of this show. And it turned out really, really good. And it wasn't even for wrestling, but it turned out to be. I'm going to play it tonight and on my Wednesday show for entertainment. Let's go with Charlotte and Paige. Who do you got there?
Obviously Charlotte. I mean, I don't see why they would make Paige win. Maybe just to get heat, but because of the whole, now that Reed is involved in this and how Charlotte's saying, her whole career she's done it for Reed and this is why she's a wrestler, I feel like it wouldn't make sense for Charlotte to lose, especially because she just got the title. And here, I'm going to say something that might make people scratch their heads because I am a Paige fan, but she's already, a 3-time Diva champion? I think maybe even, I don't know, it might be 2, might be 3. My whole point is that she's had numerous opportunities at the title, and I get that they probably picked Paige because it wouldn't have, this whole angle wouldn't have translated well if it was like Becky or Sasha, but I'm not going to lie, when it was Sasha versus Paige in the finals for, who the number one contender would be, I was rooting for the boss all the way. I was like, come on, Sasha, you got this. But obviously Paige won, and it makes more sense on why they went that route. Because, like I said, Charlotte and Paige have history, it's close friends and everything. But in the bigger picture, it wouldn't make sense to put the title on Paige again. So I'm going to go with Charlotte retains.
And we agree on that choice, too. My biggest thing is Paige doesn't need the belt to be over.
No, she doesn't. People love her already.
And I don't know that Charlotte has to have the belt to be over, but it just makes sense. I mean, when you're the daughter of the most decorated heavyweight champion of all time, the belt belongs around your waist. So
yep,
I think that's where it needs to stay. And then we've got the, I guess, tag match, the Brothers of Destruction versus 2 from the Wyatt family.
I don't know. That's a hard one, to be honest, just because I could see people like, Taker and Kane putting them over just because they've been in the business for so long, and they might be like, hey, it's time to pass the torch. But I don't necessarily think that's going to happen yet, especially with the whole Undertaker fighting Cena at WrestleMania next year. So, I mean, I don't know which 2 they're going to pick. I kind of have this feeling that Bray Wyatt's going to sit out, even though I really don't want him to because I love Bray Wyatt. But I think they might go with, like, Eric Rowan and that the new guy, Rowan Star, well, however the heck you say his name. I don't even know how to say his name. But that guy, I think that might be the 2 that they pick. I think it's going to be a friggin' brawl type of match. They're going to throw everything that they have at each other. But I think for the fact that it has been the League of the Undertaker and now it's the 25-year anniversary of his debut, I think Kane and Taker have to go over unless Kane betrays his brother again at Survivor Series like he's done like once or twice already. But come on, that's a recycled storyline. I don't think I want to see that again. So I think I'm going to go with the Brothers of Destruction.
We just got done with corporate Kane, thank God.
Yeah, thank you.
And so
you're not lying.
Let's not have Kane do something totally stupid. But that thought was when I was doing my predictions. That thought certainly came to my mind as well. And but I, these seem to be pretty predictable matches, and who knows, we may miss every one of them.
Seriously, you never know. Sometimes wrestling likes to do that. It's like you think you know, but you have no idea. Okay.
Right, and who knows? There might be some surprise show up, and maybe we'll get a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4. Man, I'm just like I'm dying to see a Survivor Series match in that one. I want to see a Survivor Series match.
I feel like they might throw something in there randomly with like random mid-carders, as much as that like sucks to say, but I mean, we need something. I mean, Sasao's not on the card. That would be great. New Day, I don't even think they're not on the card. Like, you know, I don't know. I think we'll see something. Another thing I want to bring up that we left out, this element of Sheamus having Money in the Bank. I mean, who knows? Something might happen with that on Sunday too. You know, forgot that he even has that thing. So we'll see.
Well, it is great to have you here with me tonight. I've got a couple clips to play from TNA and a couple of other minor things to talk about before the interview. So thank you for being here with me tonight.
No problem. It's always my pleasure. And as I said before, whenever you need me, I'll be here. And it was great to do this again. It's been a while, and it's always fun.
And I think you'll enjoy the interview at the end.
All right, for sure, Ed. You take care.
All right. And let's move over to TNA. And, boy, I got to tell you, if you're a TNA fan, let me scoot over here and do this. Yeah, there's where I want to be. This was a big week for them. It's no secret that their time on Destination America has been, to say a disaster might even be an understatement. Let's listen to Dixie Carter as she talks about their move to Pop TV.
Hello, ImpactWrestling.com. I'm Josh Matthews, and it's my pleasure right now to be joined by TNA President Dixie Carter, who has some very exciting news. We have a new home in 2016.
We certainly do. Impact Wrestling is moving to Pop TV. Starting there it is, Josh. I love it. Starting live on a live broadcast on January 5th. We're going to Tuesday nights from 9 to 11 Eastern and Pacific time. And we just can't wait. I knew from the moment I met with these people, it's amazing the connection between this network and our company. And in wrestling in general, they're all about the fans. They're all about everything fandom. And who has better fans than wrestling fans, than Impact Wrestling? And so it's that connection. It's the connection of how they feel about wrestling and how passionate and committed they are to our brand, to Impact. And more than anything, 85 million homes are going to have the ability to watch Impact Wrestling on Tuesday nights now. So I couldn't be happier, and I think everybody is going to be thrilled with what happens.
The fans truly have been so supportive, and now they can proudly wave the Pop flag starting Tuesday night, January 5th, as Dixie said, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. We will be live, and we'll have more information on ImpactWrestling.com in regards to that live show on Tuesday, January 5th. But Pop TV, you ready for 2016?
I'm ready. It's our 15th year. It's going to be big. We're going to make history.
And let's listen to Eric Young and his take on Pop TV.
Busted Open always brings you the hardest-hitting stories in professional wrestling. Here's an exclusive clip from today's show.
Eric Young coming on. We kind of see a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of daylight in the future here as Destination America becomes a part of the past and Pop TV becomes your future. I know you're just getting informed on the details as we are, but it's got to be exciting to have a new home coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big, fat, juicy, delicious ray of sunshine, and you're right. Like there's no mystery. You mean like all the guys know, all the people in the office know. There's been a black cloud over the company, whether it's deserved or undeserved. I mean that's all in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. But I think somewhere along the line we became, kind of too big to be the underdog, where people are like really rooting for us. And, not big enough to be taken all the way serious. We're in this in-between. I liken it, for me, for people that don't understand wrestling, we're the Nickelback of pro wrestling right now. I don't know when that happened. Nickelback doesn't care that it happened, but they know, they're aware of it too. It became cool to not like Nickelback. I'm not a musician. I don't know anything about writing music or whatever, but I like Nickelback music. I listen to it. I've been a fan. I saw them live in Toronto when no one knew who they were. They were awesome. He has a full-size hockey rink in his basement. That's, he gets drunk and plays with his buddies. They're great. And I think TNA is great. I've always thought that will never change. It's never going to be perfect. Nothing in entertainment is going to make everybody happy. But yeah, moving to Pop TV it's a big positive step for us, man. And it's history's the history, and we're all moving forward positive.
Busted Open, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 2 to 4 Eastern on Sirius XM Rush 93 and on your smartphone with the Sirius XM app.
Well, this is huge for TNA because Pop TV has somewhere between 80 and 85 million homes to reach. And again, it's no doubt that Destination America was not a fit from the very beginning. And I've not been able to see TNA live forever. And, it cost them some of their talent, some of their better talent. And so excited for Dixie, excited for the people that are still there with them. And we've always said this on this podcast, and way back when we did DTRTWrestling.com podcast, that wrestling needs multiple promotions that are good, strong, because it creates competition. So very, very excited about that. Couple other news stories, wrestling news stories, and I'm looking here. My interview is about 19 minutes, and I got somebody was trying to call me on Skype in the middle of that. Probably some foreign person that, no, it was, I don't know who it was. It didn't look. Anyway, it got my attention because it comes out loud and clear in my earphones. If you're a WWE fan, you notice that John Cena's not been around, and here's the reason why. Again, we're getting our news from WrestlingNewsBlog.com, who sponsor our wrestling segment, and it's been a long segment tonight. When it was announced that John Cena would be taking some time off from WWE, some rejoiced, while others were bummed. The question remained, why? Was it an injury? Exhaustion? Personal issues? Well, now thanks to a tweet from the man himself, we have the answer. Quote, "This just in, I'm honored to host the new reality competition series, #American Grit, guiding 16 men and women as we work together to face a variety of military and survival-themed challenges, coming soon to Fox." The story goes on to say, this is some exciting news. Cena has always showed his love and respect for the military, so an announcement like this hardly comes as a surprise. It'll be interesting to see how the show plays out and if the show can do well based on just Cena's star power alone. Moreover, if the WWE will gain a new audience because of the show. Either way, it's a smart business move. Trevor and I were talking earlier today, Cena with his support for the military, and Trevor made mention that tomorrow would be a great day for a Cena pep talk to the talent based upon the news that ISIS has singled out the Survivor Series as the sole, and not the sole survivor, as the sole location in America in a recent communique that they put out that has not been verified. A news reporter, Mark Winnie, or Wine, from Atlanta has been tweeting updates on the potential Islamic State attack on Sunday's Survivor Series. Of course, the activist group Anonymous revealed that information that they had come up with. The FBI issued a statement saying they were taking the threat seriously, but did not have a specific or credible information on the attack. That reporter continues to put up tweets, and so you can check back at WrestlingNewsBlog.com. Our good friends over there, Vanessa, my cousin John, dear friend Trevor, they do a great job, and they will continue to update that story as time passes and information becomes available. Looking at my time, trying to make sure I just get this right down to the very end. So glad to see Cena doing something that should just get him respect. One side isn't going to be going, let's go Cena, and the other side saying Cena sucks, I don't think. If it is, I would certainly be disappointed in Fox. The next segment is going to be about a movie that is going to be coming out in January. And the movie is called The Masked Saint. Was excited to get to interview the gentleman who the story is about. He used to wrestle as the Saint, and he's got some good stories. I interviewed him for our entertainment segment that we do, good, wholesome family entertainment on Wednesdays, and we will replay it that night because that's what we did it for. But he was very gracious in sharing some stories that we thought our wrestling audience would like. And so with nothing further here, I should have just a minute or so when this is over to say goodnight. So enjoy the interview. All right, welcome to this segment of the Ed Boston podcast, and we are very pleased and honored to have Marcus Carlson, a television news anchor from wow. That did not do what it was supposed to do. And boy, I tell you what, sometimes these let me do something here real quick. Take a listen to this part. I've got two things going on in my ears right now. And unfortunately, we're not going to get the entire segment in now. Not sure what happened. But we're going to get part of it in here in just a minute.
Hey, this is Ed, and the professional wrestling segment of Sports Talk with Ed Boston is presented to you from our good friends over at WrestlingNewsBlog.com. I get all of my wrestling information from there. I suggest you do too. WrestlingNewsBlog.com. Go visit them.
Okay, well, we are going to get to the interview in just a second. I've got to pass a little bit of time because of some editing that had to take place. So those of you who are listening in archive, this isn't going to matter. You're going to get it anyway. Only the live listeners will get shortchanged, and then you can go back into archive and you can go to the end and or you can listen to the whole thing again. And let me try to keep you entertained here for a couple of minutes. Hey, this is Ed from Ed Boston Ministries. Wanted to let everyone know that I'm taking bookings for speaking engagements, Sunday church services, extended numbers of services or revival, individual groups, or really just about any event you would like to invite me to. Just email me at bookings@edboston.com. Looking forward to hearing from you. God bless, and go out and do the right thing. Well, I wanted to let you know that the interview that we're about to do about the movie The Masks, not only does it have the story about a former professional wrestler, but it also has the involvement of our good friends down at Global Force Wrestling. They are partnered up with the folks that made this movie to help promote it. And as you'll hear in the interview, you will hear him talk about Jeff, and just so glad that they are able to work together on this. As a matter of fact, one thing that you'll find out is this is the movie that Roddy Piper appeared in before he passed away. So excited to see the Hot Rod. All right, it is got this about to start.
Okay, and we'll go right into the interview. Okay. All right, folks, welcome to this segment of the Ed Boston podcast, and we are privileged to have with us Pastor Chris.
Hey, thank you, Ed. It's great to be with you, and I appreciate you having me so much.
Well, our topic today is the Masked Saint, and so tell me about your involvement with this project.
Well, I was a pastor for 30 years, but before being a pastor, I was a professional wrestler for 10 years, from 1978 to 1988. My last 3 years in wrestling, I was wrestling while I was going to seminary at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas. So I was wrestling while I was going to seminary, which was a great thing. I finished seminary, went to my first church as a pastor. I'd served in support roles before that, but I went to my first church and had some things happen to me that were handled in a little bit less pastorally way than normally they would be handled. And I had wrestled under the name of the Saint, and these things kept happening to me while I was in ministry. So one day I sat down and started writing a book, and I entitled it The Masked Saint. And so it was picked up by a movie producer who wanted to make a movie out of it, and the movie has been filmed and comes out on January the 8th of 2016. So that's how it happened.
So tell us a little bit about the mixture of going to seminary and being a wrestler.
It was definitely a little bit different than, I think, the average seminary student. At that time, Southwestern was the largest evangelical seminary in the world. It's still pretty large, but I don't know if it's the biggest one. My name was on file with the seminary, so there's not a whole lot of professional wrestlers who also are seminary students, and so it gave me an opportunity to speak and to give my testimony literally all over the Southeast, and it gave me some great opportunities. It was, a little bit crazy sometimes, being a father, a husband, seminary student, putting it all together. But whenever I could, I took my girls with me, and had some good stories come out of that. The night that I wrestled The Undertaker, my wife and both my girls were there, and they saw it, and had a good story come out of that one also. So it was great. For me, it was great just being able to do all of it.
Okay, so being a dual fan here, a fan of the movie that's about to come out, and a wrestling fan, and a pastor myself, I have to ask, did you get the Tombstone pile driver when you wrestled The Undertaker?
Well, he didn't. He wasn't using that. Matter of fact, he wasn't even called The Undertaker at that time. He became The Undertaker when he went to the WWF, which became the WWE.
Right.
Vince McMahon is the one who made him The Undertaker. So I caught him a little bit before then, but it was kind of cool that night when I stepped in the ring. He's a big guy, about 6'8", 315 pounds. My wife had never seen him, and neither had either one of my little girls. And when he walked into the building that night, and I was already in the ring, when he walked through, I found my wife and the girls in the crowd. Both my little girls started crying when they saw him, and I saw my wife lean over very quickly and grab her purse and start rummaging through her purse very quickly. So anyway, the match took place. We were driving back. We were driving back to Fort Worth that night, and I said, right before the match started, you grabbed your purse and started going through it very quickly. What were you looking for? She paused for a moment. She said, she said, I was looking for the checkbook to make sure you had paid the insurance.
Thanks, dear, right?
Yeah, thanks for the encouragement. I appreciate that. Yeah. It was great after some of the hard matches. I broke my nose one night in Dallas and got some other injuries, and then the next morning at 8 o'clock, I'm in a Greek class at Southwestern, and it looked like I'd been in a war. So, they were always commenting on that. I had Dr. J.W. McGorman for Greek. He had a great Scottish brogue, and when he saw me, my eyes were black and my face was all swollen, and he just kind of smiled and looked at me and said, Brother Whaley, I guess you had a rough time wrestling with the Greek last night. So, great comment.
We, being me and my wife, we help out with a local indie promotion, and I'm actually the ring announcer, and you'll find this humorous, I'm sure. A couple of months ago, one of the Doink the Clown characters was at our promotion, and unbeknownst to me, I ended up being kissed on the lips by a clown as the ring announcer. I wasn't exactly thrilled about that. I came out with clown paint all over my face, and no pre-notice. So, but then things happen, and the fans loved it, so that's the main thing.
I think I would rather have been body slammed than to do that.
Yeah, I think I would have too. If they'd have given me a choice, I would have chosen the body slam.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. But, you got some great stories out of that.
Yeah, and it's on video, so the people see it, and, there you go. The movie. Something that turns out to be very, very ironic and even sad is that prior to passing away, Roddy Piper was able to film his part in the movie. Tell us about that.
I think it's I think it's going to be the last feature film that Roddy Piper was in. Roddy Piper, just one of the greats from wrestling, WWE Hall of Famer. He was not only a great wrestler, he was a great family man. He was married, had 4 kids. A lot of people don't know it, but he wore his wedding ring every time he wrestled.
Oh, wow.
Kind of beautiful. But not only was he a great wrestler, he was also a great actor. I mean, he did a great job. Whatever he was doing, he did a great job. And I had not seen him. It had been 30 years since I'd seen him, and boy, it was a joy to see him again and be able to talk with him. And he's got to be greatly missed by the wrestling fans.
Now, I've interviewed several professional wrestlers based upon their faith in Christ. I've interviewed AJ Styles, who's a very strong Christian. I've had Jeff Jarrett on several times. His Christian faith is well known by many. Do you find that more so in the wrestling business than what you might think you would find?
Well, I think you find more of them today. When I was in wrestling, you just didn't find very many believers. I mean, not very many at all. And then there were some, I'm not going to call their names because they were all really well known, but there were some who were portrayed as great Christians, but when the doors were closed and they were in the dressing room, it certainly didn't look like Christ. Mm-hmm. And I was, very disappointed in that. But today, you're seeing more of them, and I think it's great. Ted DiBiase is a very dedicated Christian. Yeah. Tully Stokes, I think, is a very dedicated Christian. And, of course, Jeff Jarrett, what a great guy. And he's also involved with the Masked Saint, too.
Right. I was going to bring that up next, that GFW is helping to promote the Masked Saint. I'm right about that, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. And just talked to Jeff a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just thrilled that he's having success with it. And if anybody deserves success, it's him. So I'm just glad that there's more believers that are, coming out in the wrestling world. I think it's a great thing.
It is. How do we find out about the Masked Saint? Your social media, your websites, things like that? Share that with our listeners.
Absolutely. You can go to www.themasked, that's MASKED, Saint, themasksaint.com. A lot of information there. If you're on Facebook, you can go to the Masked Saint movie, and you can see all kinds of great stuff on that. We're on Twitter, the Masked Saint on Twitter and on Instagram. I think the trailers are all over the place. I'm seeing them amazingly in a lot of different locations on the internet. But you can go on the www.themasksaint.com and see the trailers, which are great. I think that'll pique your interest to go see the movie. And the movie is going to be released nationwide on Friday, January the 8th. The premiere is in Nashville, so you guys will be able to get to be the recipients of that.
Well, I know that my site, edboston.com, will be promoting and getting those trailers out, things like that. My producer, who is listening right now as well, he has an entertainment site, trevordecker.com. I know he'll be promoting it heavily. And we're just proud to be able to be associated with things that is such a good story. And thank you for putting it out there for us. What's it like to have a movie being made about your life?
Very humbling, very surreal. I mean, I had to pinch myself several times. The only thing I can say is it was absolutely awesome, but it's very, very humbling at the same time. And I'm just very thankful to the Lord for His blessings. And, I think this is actually the very first faith-based action movies. And I'm a supporter of faith-based films. I don't care where they are or what they are. If it's a faith-based film, I'm going to support it. And there's some great ones that are coming out. But I think it's great that they're advancing to different genres of movies. Like I say, this one's a action movie, Mom's Night Out. I think that was a great Christian comedy. And of course the dramas. And I think you're going to see more and more. And I just hope people will support them. I did want to let you know that my book is being re-released in January, on January the 5th. The Masked Saint is going to be re-released by Morgan James. Matter of fact, you can go on Amazon and pre-order it now. You get a good picture of the cover of the book, and I hope people will give it a look.
Well, Pastor Chris, I always end my interviews with a word of prayer. My guest, I usually don't have to worry about when a preacher is on them, but I've gotten the opportunity to pray with people that, maybe they hadn't been prayed for publicly in a long time. So that's a big part of what I do. So let me have a word of prayer with you, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you so much for it.
Father God in heaven, I come to you just now thanking you for this day, a beautiful day here in central Indiana. The sun is shining bright. The sky is blue. The clouds are beautiful. And it reminds me, Father, of just how awesome you are. And it reminds me, Father, that you can take anything and make it into something that is to your glory. And here you've taken the life of Chris and his wrestling career, and you've made something that is going to be a wonderful example for people to see. I just thank you for Chris's life. I ask your blessings upon him and his family. I pray for the success of
What up? It's Snoop Dogg, and it's Saturday. You know what turns my Saturday into a fun day? That's right, sweaters. I'll throw on a sweater, make myself a cup of tea, curl up with a good book, and look downright adorable.
Looking cute, Snoop. Tomorrow only at Old Navy, all sweaters are 50% off, starting at $10. Plus, everything else in the store is 40% off now till Wednesday.
Well, then let's put the kettle to the metal and run to Old Navy, baby.
Excludes gift cards.